What's going on, guys? And today we're talking about why we quit. Now, one of the biggest things I've always found on why I've quit isn't because it has been a specific choice that I've quit. Yes, I've obviously stopped specific things, and you've stopped specific things in your life from continuing, right? Maybe you don't enjoy something in your life, so you stop it, you quit it. But I think a lot of times there's specific things in our lives that we make priority. Right? Like you can have like your health or your family or whatever the case is. At one point in your life, that thing may be a priority. Then a lot of times what happens is we lose focus on specific things in our lives, and that is no longer a priority. And we find that this is a very strategic, sneaky kind of way that we let ourselves fall off, right? We neglect it one day and then we realize, oh, we neglected it. So let's go back and give it some more attention. And then, 2 days later, again, we neglected a day, another day, and then we're like, oh, we forgot. So we'll go back and we'll correct it. And then before we know it, we just start neglecting it altogether. And then a lot of times we are quitting on that thing because it no longer has or is the priority in our life. And so I found a lot of times the reason I've quit specific things, whether it is health-wise or whatever, specifically because of things like that, because I neglected it and forgot about it, right? It wasn't no longer a priority for me. And so I've quit without actually realizing that I've quit, right? There are specific things that you have in life, right? Like maybe you're trying to quit smoking, or you're trying to quit a bad habit, right? There's other things you can forcibly try to quit, but I think a lot of times the things that we want in our lives, we quit on ourselves without ourselves even knowing, because we neglect it and it's no longer a priority in our lives. And then a lot of times we come back and we realize that, man, well, who am I, right? The things that were once priority have kind of fallen off, and now in doing so, I've kind of quit on myself, and realizing that it's not a priority for me anymore at this point in my life. I had an interview today, and the specific thing came up about how he was an entrepreneur and how essentially he thought about quitting because it would be nice for him to essentially take a break and stuff like that. And a lot of times when I look back on specific things like my health, right? There's a lot of different things, or working out and stuff like that. It's something you have to put in a lot of repetition to see results. And so when I talk about, neglecting stuff and stuff falls off, right? It can also get to the point to where you want to stop something specific so you can possibly even free up more time. Like being an entrepreneur, right? You're constantly working. But then again, if you had the 9 to 5, you'd be able to free up a little bit more time. And being said, at what point do you really quit, right? Now, separating this from letting it just fall off, right? And neglecting it and it fall off. At what point do you quit, right? A lot of times when I look back at my health, right, it'd be easier not to go work out at the time, work out a couple days a week, I'd still be healthy. But, I think it's very much a mental thing, right? Like we have to realize how much progress we make. And I talk about how you should reflect daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly on where you are at and where you're trying to get and how much that matters to you, right? Because a lot of times we will set goals and try to achieve these things, daily goals, monthly, quarterly goals, yearly goals. And then a lot of times our priorities change. And so we'll want to quit something that we've put a lot of time and work and effort in. Again, one thing that was a priority, and you look at it now and you're like, man, is it really worth all the time, effort, and energy that I'm putting into it? And sometimes I think you need to come to a point to where you need to decide, is it a priority or it's not? And then you can change it from that point. Like even being an entrepreneur, right? Where you get to the point to where you don't want to do this anymore. And you want to just go to a 9 to 5 so you can just forget about everything and go back home and just live a life. So there are trade-offs in everything going through life, and realize that the priorities in your life will shift. And so you have to determine, is this something I really want to quit, or is this something that's no longer a priority for me? And then realize about all the other different things in your life that you sacrifice to get whatever it is that you're getting. Right? I think we tend to neglect that and forget about that, and realize what it took to get to where we are to this point. And so a lot of times quitting, right, and this can be even if you're starting something new, a lot of times it's hard to see any kind of progression in something unless you have a large time frame that you can look at and see the progress that you've made. And so a lot of times you're making progress, unseen progress that you're not seeing, and then you want to quit from that point. Realizing all the stuff that you sacrificed, you said, well, from this point forward, there's no point really sacrificing this because I'm not seeing results. And a lot of times we're just not patient enough for ourselves to see that. But on the other hand, if you have accumulated, or maybe you've gone through and allowed yourself to achieve that business that you wanted, and you're doing very well, or perhaps you've achieved a good set point for your health, but then you realize that, this isn't really what I want to do, right? I want to be a little bit more flexible. Maybe I should go back to a job, or maybe I want to not be so stringent on my diet and be able to live a normal lifestyle, be healthy, but not be to the extremes, right? And so there's certain things we are constantly adjusting going through our lives, and when we get new perspectives, when we get new events that may occur in your life, and perhaps you'll find someone that is part of your life, and then you start incorporating other different things, or perhaps an event happens and you get new perspective, and then you decide to quit stuff at that point. But ultimately understand that, when you start thinking about quitting something, you definitely have to look at the progress that you've made to this point. Are you okay proceeding forward with essentially losing all the progress that you've had to this point? Because you get to a point to where it's just normal, and so you don't know life without it. And so a lot of times the grass may seem greener, or the grass is always greener on the other side, no matter what you do. And so we are always constantly seeking change, right? It's just the way we're wired. We want change. If we don't see change, things are the same in regular routine, which routine does help for things, but you have to also understand you have to add an element of change, because if there's no element of change, a lot of times we get bored with it and then we'll want to quit. And so when you're working out, right, maybe you need to change up your routine so you don't want to quit. Right? Maybe you are doing an entrepreneur. Maybe there's something new you can do in your entrepreneurial journey that will allow you to switch it up and make it fresh, right? You want to be making it fresh. You want to be doing these things if it is a priority for you. Now, again, if your priorities shift at that point, right, and you're okay with all the sacrifices that you've made to this point to acquire whatever it is, you're okay to let it go, then let it go, right? I don't think you should hold on to something because of the amount of effort that you've done, right? I think our priorities shift, and it's okay to let things go at that point. But you have to be 110% sure you're okay with that. And a lot of times it's not. A lot of times you feel like you've put too much effort in, and why start over? But a lot of times I think we also tend to forget that there could be better things, better opportunities that we're not seeing. Right? Even though you may be starting from ground zero on something, but it is a better experience, right? Because you're getting that change that you wanted. And that's something that I think gets lost in the whole quitting aspect, right? Because again, we feel like we've put a lot of time and effort in this. Now, I've just mentioned health, and I've mentioned about entrepreneurship and stuff like that, but this applies to anything in your life. Right, and it's just going and being okay with letting stuff go, right? Like I soaked time into it, I enjoyed it while it lasted, but I am ready to move on. And we have to realize that everything that you do in life is temporary, right? It's the way we are wired. We want to, again, involve new challenges. Now, maybe for you, it's easier to just do the routine thing, and that's fine, and you don't want to quit, and you're asking yourself, well, why do I want to quit? Right? And again, you may have to go back and try to change things, adjust things so that you don't quit, right? You have to change small things, just tweak stuff enough to where you get enough change and you're satisfied, so you're not looking, the grass is always greener on the other side, right? And again, it's okay to say, okay, well, I've put forth the effort and I've sacrificed the time, right? But you really have to realize, is it really a priority for you or not? And this goes back into a lot of different things. Well, what is the thing that you're trying to achieve, right? Is it something that you really want in your life? Is it your choice or someone else's choice? So it goes back to a lot of different things. But that's what I got for you guys. I know this video is getting long, so remember to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.